Hey everyone, welcome to the show today. Today we have Craig Hallums, otherwise known as at Craig Hallums Art. That is your handle. His website is coming soon and all that. Welcome to the show. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Hi, Craig. So
You're right.
I'm going to start today, as we usually do, in the long ago. Can you tell me how you first got into art? Were you always into it as a kid? Did you have a favourite comic book or artist?
I've been into art for as long as I can remember. One of the earliest memories I've got is scribbling Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They were always my thing as a kid.
Yes.
I say they're always my thing as a kid. They're my thing now. I mean, if I pan the camera over there, I've got Turtles figures in another cabinet. So
Me too.
But yeah, I remember scribbling those down. My mum dug out some Ghostbusters pictures that I'd drawn when I was 5 a few months back. So I don't remember a time where I haven't been scribbling. So
Did you go into art after you left school? Did you study it at college or anything?
yeah, went to University of Creative Arts in Farnham, studied fine art, which was not for me. Yeah, I'd done, when I was in sixth form, I'd kind of dabbled with fine art and, you know, the slightly more kind of highfalutin conceptual art and all that sort of stuff. Had my super pretentious phase. Did all right with it at 16 to 18, went to university, then suddenly sort of thought, this is all just nonsense. I don't know. You know, there's people that believe the work they're doing and they should be doing this. I don't believe a single thing I'm doing here. So yeah, it wasn't a great experience. I tried to pull back some of the comic stuff and had a tutor who will remain unnamed literally laugh at me for it. Yeah, which is pretty creatively crippling.
You're the second person who has that Lindsey and I have interviewed who has mentioned
Really?
a teacher who has belittled them. I'm shocked.
It's tough when you're in college because you can be sitting there working on a piece and one tutor will come up to you and say, I love that, love this, love that. Next one will walk up to you and say, don't like that, don't like this, don't like, you know, it's arts, it's all your personal opinion. It's
yeah. I stuck that course out effectively as a giant middle finger to the tutors that thought I wouldn't stick it out. So yeah, I was quite pleased to get my degree at the end for whatever it was worth. But yeah, after that, I was pretty jaded with work in general and didn't really draw much of anything for a good 2 or 3 years, and then was pretty flighty with it for a couple more years after that. And then just one day decided, like, actually, no, I really want to give this a crack again. I'm probably mid-20s at that point, mid to late 20s. Just got started again, and so now I'm where I am, keeping plugging away at it.
How did you get back into it? Did you just start offering commissions, or did you submit work to different companies?
I don't even really remember, to be honest. I knew in the years that I wasn't doing it that something felt missing, and this is going to sound a little bit pretentious at the end, so, you know, maybe I should have been doing fine art, but it was one of those things that, as much as it was stressful to do and trying to force myself to do it and work through all the kind of creative uncertainty and all that malarkey, was difficult. I couldn't live without it either, so I was equally stressed by not doing artwork. And I just thought, you need to suck it up, just put pencil on paper and just do something. And if it's something, it's more than you did yesterday or the day before that. And I think actually at the time, I'd signed up to DeviantArt back when everyone used to use that. Saw a couple of guys who were doing sketch cards back then, which would have been probably mid 2000s. Thought, yeah, this is amazing. Didn't realize that people could earn a living for drawing on such tiny pieces of card, and thought, yeah, maybe I'll give that a pump one day, but in the meantime, let's try and just do some stuff a bit quicker. Grabbed a Sharpie and just scribbled on the back of envelopes for a couple of months. And yeah, I figured if they're on envelopes, who cares if they're throwaway? If it goes wrong, it's just an envelope, who cares? and that sort of took some of the pressure off of myself with this whole like they've got to be a certain standard thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of broke it. And then, you know, it was a little bit on and off for a while, but eventually settled into some sort of groove with it.
It's crazy how that can stop. It can just stop you in your tracks, can't it? Like wondering whether it's good enough or.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a similar experience going into print, and I'm like, if I'm putting something in print, it's got to be amazing. It's got to be one of the best things I've ever done. It doesn't. Like people still like them, even if you think it could be better, you know.
And most people that view our stuff don't see the faults we see in it.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Honestly, like especially now with social media, people are scrolling through stuff so quick. You get like this, and then they're on again to the next thing. You know, we spend hours, days, weeks looking at this stuff, kind of picking faults where there might not be any. And I think, you know, maybe we need to just give ourselves a break sometimes.
Absolutely. I remember way back when I was starting, you know, when I was much younger, a teenager and stuff like that. And you're like, no, I got to work on a little bit more. Literally months could go by on a sketch and you don't want anybody to see it until it's perfect. And it's never perfect. And then when you think it's perfect and you show someone and they're like, yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's your first lesson that, well, okay, no, it doesn't have to be. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Wrong, don't you? And you focus on that little bit you've done wrong.
Yeah.
Who's wrong? And nobody's going to notice.
No. I drove myself insane a couple of years back. I started doing this project of 1.5 by 1.5 inch square portraits. So I'd done a couple that went reasonably well, and I thought, I'd just seen Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson in. Like, I'm gonna draw her from that. That'll be great. You know, give it a go, see where we end up. I was convinced I just couldn't get her nose right, and I spent days rubbing it out, redrawing it. Then I'd get the nose where I thought it was kind of okay, but I'm like, okay, well now sort of the way she's kind of half smirking doesn't fit the nose, so let's just tweak that a little bit. And now we're like, well, you've just ruined the bit that did look good. Then you kind of back and forth on that, and it was just constant driving myself insane. And I got to a point where I was just like, I don't care, I'm walking away from it. Went back a few days later, I'm like, you know, that actually does kind of look like her, so just get some ink on it and call it done.
Walking away from things for a while can change everything. That's amazing.
Totally.
What you did.
Yeah, totally.
Looking at it with fresh eyes makes it look completely different.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Found as well when you know, I'll have done a portrait and it'll be looking like him, the likeness will be there, it'll be all right, but I'll be in the mood, so I'll go, right, I'll try and make it look more realistic, and then I mess up the likeness and overwork it, and then everything, you know, you can't, it gets to the point where you can't put anything else on top of it. It's too by that point. What materials do you like to use?
Main tools of the trade for me are mechanical pencil and then Copic fine liners for my black and white work. If I'm doing colour pro markers at the minute, I'm all over those, spending an absolute fortune buying them up. But yeah, I love those things.
So did you fall into storyboards before or after you came into sketch cards?
That was after my first couple of sets, and I've only done the one so far. I think I'm pleased with the work I did for it, and the finished product is excellent. Like the guys, I'll have to find a link to the short film they made from it, but they did a really good job with that at Cyberpunk Studios. But I don't know storyboarding's for me. You know, you need to be sort of kind of a director in your own right, kind of figuring out camera angles and panning, and you know, the stage directions that go into them didn't come intuitively to me. So you know, the type of storytelling I'd like to try and push more would be to go into comic stuff, and I've got a bit of an idea on that front. That, you know, with how slow I am, might happen by the time I'm dead.
Have you not found that doing sketch cards has helped you speed a bit, you know, with the deadlines?
It has. I think what that's helped with is get over my own finicky sort of mentality with it all. 'Cause you just, you know, when it's $3 a card, you just if a card's done, it's finished. You don't go back to it and try and refine it or improve it. It's just you call it done, you move on to the next one.
You don't have to go back.
Exactly. Yeah, half the time you don't even have time to look at the finished thing. You're just like off, next one.
And you can't that's on it either, because that card is what you've got, and you're not getting another one. So you have to learn how to fix your mistakes as well, instead of just going start again.
Funny enough, I was there was an artist that I've got to know on Instagram, Sterling Ford, who's worth checking out. He hasn't been active for a while, but he's really good. We talked a lot sort of when I was in the thick of all of that, and he was saying about how his technique would be to sketch out his sketch cards on tracing paper first, then so he's getting all his mistakes out on that. And I tried that, and it just slowed the process down way too much for me. So I just forced myself to go straight to working on the card. And like you said, you just have to be kind of economical with it, because if you get it wrong, that card's done. So it's maybe just be confident in the mark I'm making, because I can really spend way too long just looking at a blank card, thinking like, well, maybe if I just move the pencil that way, or I just put the brush mark there like that, and you can't do that with sketch cards. So I'd have committed a single card in all the sets I've done if I worked the way I normally work.
Like when we spoke to Michael Mastermaker, he goes straight in with ink.
Oh yeah, man. That guy has got some stones with what he does, because
wasn't it just my word?
I'm not that brave yet.
No, that's really brave. I remember the first time it was like, we had like a week to do some cards. It was like, oh, I don't even have time to sketch something out. Okay, this is it. If they never call me back, it's okay. I just took the paint and just went like this and sent them in, and by golly, there were people who liked them. I'm sure there were people who hated them too, but there were a few people who liked them. So there you go.
If it finds an audience, it finds an audience. There's always going to be people that don't like something you do.
Absolutely.
Or it isn't for them, and that's fine. And it took me a little while to get my head around that as well. I think, and we're probably all guilty of it to a certain degree. Thinking that it's only a success if everyone universally likes the work you've done. But
if you think about the greatest things that have ever been created, not everybody likes them. So you know.
I mean, some of the most expensive art on the planet is Damien Hirst drawing dots on a canvas, and there's people that like it and there's people that don't. There's
people that go,
the majority who roll their eyes and.
Well, it can be it's a bit crazy, isn't it, when you get up to that level, and there's companies wanting to tax dodge, and they buy art so they can dodge taxes, and you're like, just because you've decided it's good and it's worth that much. Maybe. But, the people in art media can put it out there enough that that's what art should be, so it is. But isn't that the dream, to become a tax loophole for rich people?
Never thought of that. That's a good one.
Sellotape a banana onto a wall. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. Done. Career over. Go and buy a mansion somewhere.
Oh, it is crazy. But yeah, absolutely. Like I've got customers who like my realism and they'll buy my realism, and then customers who like my cartoons and they won't swap over. Like they like what they like, and I've found the same thing since I started doing the chibi stuff, actually. And as an artist, I consider myself the guy who does the kind of illustrative, kind of quasi-realistic stuff. But everyone's gone crazy for the chibi stuff. So I was like, maybe I should just focus on the thing I'm having fun with and not the thing that I'm being a tortured artist about.
Absolutely.
Can be a bit more free and creative with it. And you do it so well as well. You get the characterizations down. Tell us how you first started doing the chibi art.
It literally was because Marvel Anime came up. I got offered. I typed out an email in my draft saying thank you for the offer, but it's not. My work. It's not for me. Spoke to one of my mates before I fired it off, and he's like, "Don't be an idiot. Just give it a try. It's something. It's not what you do, so that's probably why you should do it." Got myself all hyped up after his pep talk. Thought, I can do that. Signed up to the set. Took 25 at the time, thought, I'll take it easy because these are going to be a real challenge for me. They're so unlike what I normally do.
This was for Upper Deck, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Marvel Anime for Upper Deck. And cards arrived. I did a few test runs on scrap bits of paper. I thought, I don't know if this is coming naturally to me. I can't figure it out. And then like we were talking about, went straight to my first actual card, just started scribbling out some pencils and went, okay, that Hulk kind of looks all right. There's a bit of character there. I think I've got something to work with. Use this. I don't generally watch anime all that much, but, watched a few bits to pick up some of the animation tropes and all that kind of thing for it. Threw some of that in and I went, this has actually kind of come together. Maybe I can do this. And then from there, it was pretty plain sailing. And now they're the easiest thing that I do. I just love drawing them. They're so much fun. They come completely naturally. Never been stressful for me. I don't think there's been a single one so far that I've gone didn't quite pan out how I wanted. So they're my palette cleanser. I do the real art, which I've become far more broad in my interpretation of. And then when I just want to have a bit of fun with it and wind down, they're my go-to.
Well, seeing as you now have experience with like chibi and anime, comic characters, cartoon characters and things, and you've done storyboards, seems to me if you put the two together, you got yourself a comic book.
Yeah. I've got some ideas for that. There are a few comic ideas that I've got in mind. I've scribbled down a few kind of basic character designs that sort of sit between the realistic stuff and the full-on chibi stuff. So it's more stylized, but doing that chibi stuff's kind of helped me loosen up with the style, because realism's great, but if I was to say draw a whole comic like that, I think it might lose some of the energy you get from being more stylized.
Definitely.
And I think in storytelling terms, that's more important than realism in comics, at least in terms of the art style. Like Sean Murphy, Dustin Yen is another one. You've got quite stylized art styles.
There are so many amazing comic books that actually the artists, it's very, very stylized.
Yeah.
Shamefully, I have absolutely no memory for names and I couldn't tell you any, but I'm sure anybody watching or listening can certainly come up with a whole bunch. There are so many of them that became super duper well known, and they are so far from realism. And even what was his name? Will something or other, who kind of was the grandfather of all that stuff. Will something.
Eisner?
Yes, duh, of course. My bad. But that's pretty minimal and stuff, but like amazing stuff.
It's more memorable when they do something a little bit different, isn't it? I mean, I'll always love Arkham Asylum. I mean, that's an amazing graphic novel.
Man, Dave McKean stuff is just out as well. Like, if you want to take fine art and apply it to the kind of what we do in terms of like pop culture stuff, he absolutely nailed it.
Yeah,
like, that book is stunning.
That Joker is so creepy.
Like just the big like streaks of green oil paint for hair and that kind of thing. I'd love to be able to produce something half as evocative as that, but
yeah.
We're a long way from that.
We mostly admire the things we can't do, I think. Like I do personally. I'm like, I can't do that. That's amazing.
I look at the stuff I do, and I'm like
loose colours.
Totally. No, I get that completely. If there's someone that does a thing you can't do, it's always whatever's unattainable, right? Like if someone's got a thing and you don't have it, there's always kind of the appeal to having that. And then it's the same with art styles. Like if they've got an art style that I can't do and I can't have, then I kind of want it.
It's like you guys, the way you guys draw, and Lindsey, I mean, I love your stuff there. It's so expressive and it's just, I can't do that. I just cannot do that.
It was a similar story with me as my mind's gone blank. As Craig, when I was at college, I did art and design, and they kept telling me off for drawing things that look like what they look like. And I'm like, but I like to draw things that look like what they look like. So they moved me on to illustration. After a year, they realised this girl's not doing this. She keeps drawing things what they look like. So they moved me over to there. Yeah, it's whoever you are just comes out, whether you're being trained or not. It's
exactly.
Eventually you have to face it. So what are you into now? Like what are you trying to apply yourself to right now? And is it leading you to a particular direction in the future?
Okay. So at the moment, I'm off the back of a pretty extensive dry period, like with bits of artwork scattered here and there, 15-month-old daughter who's kept me plenty busy, and the full-time job. So my main goal is finally clearing up my commission list. 2 more for my best mate, and I've got a sketch cover of Wolverine to polish off. Then I'm closing the books on commissions, sketch card sets for the foreseeable. I just need some time to not even know what I'm doing, really, if I'm being completely truthful. Just have some time with my drawing table, my pens, and just do what I want and see what comes out of it. And it'll be the first time in about 5 years that I've had that kind of, if you'll excuse the term, blank canvas to work with.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. You have a day job that permits you to be able to say, okay, that's enough. I need to take time for my creative self, which I think amazing.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that regard, because I know that as much as I would love to be a full-time artist, and that is the dream, I'd like to move towards that, over time, hopefully, provided the economic state of this country doesn't completely go haywire, we'll shift in that direction. That's a whole other can of worms. But the day job does pay the bills and keep the mortgage paid and keep food in our mouths, and it means, like you said, I can just take some time to do what I want. And the first thing I want to draw is the first thing I ever drew, which is the turtles.
Awesome.
I've been itching to draw them for so long, and I'm about to have a bit of a break where I don't have to worry about deadlines or commissions or obligations. So I'm going to indulge my 5-year-old self.
I'm such a huge Turtles fan. I can't wait to see all I drew as a kid.
Yeah, same here. My mum's got sketchbooks full of turtle drawings.
But I love how everybody can put their own spin on it, and it's still the Turtles. Like it's one set of characters you can really do anything with.
Yeah, they're so universal.
Like,
anyone.
What did you think to the movie Nostrils? I didn't like that.
What the Michael Bay movie designs?
I like the character design. I didn't like the nostrils.
I actually quite like the kind of character they put into all of them, like in terms of like the bits and pieces on the costumes, rather than just being a different coloured bandana.
And the size variety, and
pretty cool. And I know it's not the most popular thing on the internet, but I thought Johnny Knoxville was good as Leonardo in the first one. But then the 16-year-old in me that used to fall off a skateboard all the time, always like Jackass. I was always going to be partial to Johnny Knoxville. I thought the first film was solid enough. The second one is what it is. Bebop and Rocksteady are good. But
did you freak out when the rumour were going around that they were going to be aliens and not mutants? I was like, no, I'm not having that.
Yeah.
Like, you can change the backstory a bit, but you're not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, there's limits. Yeah. You're allowed to kind of play around with an adaptation, but don't mess with the basics of it.
No.
They had the Daredevil rip-off origin. They got gunk from a container, splash over them, and turn them into mutants. Kevin Eastman has said that he basically wrote the origin so that Matt Murdock got splashed in the face on the street and it ran down into the sewer and made the turtles. So that's how it is.
So awesome.
There you go. Of all the hills for me to die on, it's that one.
Oh dear. We were talking to it was Ari, wasn't it? Ari, she's surname?
Ari Monroe?
Ari Monroe, that's it. I don't know if you've seen her work, but she's a massive Turtles fan as well. We had her on the other day. So I'm just chatting Turtles for ages. I love it.
This is turning into a Turtles podcast, and
I do keep turning it into the Ninja Turtles podcast.
Totally fine, but I'm just following along on that one. I don't know hardly anything. I should really catch up, I guess.
You just can't help it when the Technodrome is just so awesome. And I love different dimensions. It first introduced me to the idea of different dimensions as well.
Yeah.
Really? Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dimension X. That's where it's from.
It was doing multiversal stuff before it was popular in the MCU.
I'll have to check it out.
But you got about 30 years of backlog, so
okay.
it'll keep you busy.
Just watch Turtles Forever. That's a pretty good animated.
Yeah, that's solid.
It goes back to the originals, and then the 90s ones. So funny.
Yeah. I rewatched the 90s movie on Blu-ray a couple of times recently, actually, and you know what? That holds up really well. That is a strong family movie. I defy anyone to watch that film. And
like the Shredder and Krang, and it was funny. I loved it.
That's maybe something I'll watch during the Christmas break.
There you go.
Christmas, I shouldn't say Christmas yet, but anyway.
And you know what we're talking about every time we get a Turtles fan on. Oh dear.
Pre-screen people next time to make sure they're not going to hijack it with Turtles.
I have got like a pretty big collection of figures and stuff, but I just gave up because so many people have got the license now. I just can't keep up with it, and I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Like, I collect Rick and Morty now, so I've got to collect something. But it's a shame. I've got like the Turtles trolls, like with the hair.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And all the big uns, and oh god. But yeah, I just concentrated on the 4 Turtles as well, so I couldn't get all the characters.
I stuck with the 4 Turtles, and then I made the mistake of going out and buying Casey Jones, and now it's probably going to expand. So
what do you have behind you that looks like some Batman, maybe?
Yeah, I've got
Superman.
I collect. Yeah, we've got Joker, Batman, Superman, then Thor, Loki, John Constantine.
That's pretty neat. That's nifty.
Yeah.
Are they all from the same? Are they all the same manufacturer?
Yeah, Hot Toys.
Hot Toys.
Yeah. So.
I've got a Michael Jackson from Hot Toys.
Oh, yeah, nice.
They are detailed. They're very, very well done.
Addictive, and unfortunately, Sideshow do this thing where you can do payment plans that have no interest on them.
Oh yeah.
So it splits it out to a nice affordable amount. All right.
I cannot finish the collection. They're too expensive now.
Yeah. My fiance bought me the Joker one about 12 years ago now. I was like, oh, well, if I've got Joker, it makes sense to get Batman. And then that turned into, well, if I've got Joker and Batman, then I might as well get the Two-Face one. And then the Catwoman, and then the Bane. And
if you're not, like, as soon as they come out, though, the prices just go so ridiculous. Like,
yeah, they absolutely go through the roof. With that whole fear of missing out thing, though, is part of the problem, because I've ended up with a lot of figures that I might, with hindsight, are very good figures. Probably wouldn't have bought if I'd given myself a bit of breathing room.
Yeah.
But because it's like, well, if I don't buy it now, it's gone. My bank account doesn't like me for it.
So obviously you have a solid foundation in all this nerd stuff.
Obviously, massive nerd.
Neon sign flashes on the screen.
Is this a hint of the direction that you think you're going to be going in?
Funnily enough, not as much as it might seem. I've got this. I really want to do some sort of like anatomical skeletal drawings. Back in the whole illustrative, like almost like Penny Dreadful style, kind of like that kind of printed style looking artwork. I want to do that with. It's so difficult to explain, but just a bunch of like geometric shapes. When I've done it and it's on social media, you'll know what I mean. But I've got this really clear idea in my head of what I want to do with that in terms of these anatomical drawings and all these kind of super kind of clinical geometric shapes.
Well, now I'm really intrigued. I can't wait to see this.
A bit cubist.
Similar to that kind of thing, but a lot more kind of like tightly drawn. So not as stylized. It's pushing that kind of realism thing to kind of like hyper realism. So it goes beyond being real because it's like structurally it's realistic, proportionally it'll be realistic, but it's going to be just super illustrated. Like I'm gonna end up regretting it with my thumb, but I'm gonna ink the merry hell out of those and like cross hatch within an inch of my life.
That's really interesting. I love it when people leave the construction lines as well. You know, if you do it, that looks so cool.
Yeah. I made. It's not a style I've ever really played around with, but I was always fascinated with the kind of cubist from multiple angles. Like, I think it was one of Picasso's paintings of a bottle or something. It was done from multiple angles on a single 2D plane. It's just incredible. I'd love to see some of that in person.
You've just reminded me of this is a program that they've done in the UK recently. I've not watched it, but it was a discussion about whether you should burn artwork or not.
Oh man.
It had Jimmy Carr in it. But because they had a piece of art from Picasso, because apparently Picasso had some bad habits in his life. Hitler, I can't remember who else.
Right.
I'm just like, art is art. You know, you have to separate that. Like, you can't.
Yeah, it's a
really weird.
A really difficult kind of minefield of a topic, that one, isn't it?
That is a difficult one.
I think in certain regards, you can't always separate art from artist, because who they are as a person can inform what it is they're trying to say with their work. But I don't know that means that the work should be destroyed, because maybe it should be held up to kind of shine a light on what you shouldn't be.
Oh yeah, like
I completely agree with that. That is something I really, really think is a good thing, that you shouldn't throw. You have to learn from the past, and if you destroy everything from the past, you can't possibly learn from it. You can't be better than that.
And you know, I think we're seeing some of the after effects of that now. You know, if you look at the political landscape, I'm not going to get into that too much, because that's a whole thing. But you look at that landscape, like, we're not learning from our own history.
No.
Because we're moving on from it, and you know, we're not past it, clearly. So, you know, I think there's always a place to be able to look back, and
if we keep repeating it, that means we haven't learned from it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The era that I grew up in, we used to understand how very important free expression was, and you know, being able to speak and talk to ideas and things. And it seems to be, I don't know what's happening at the moment. It's a bit I find it.
I think we're all pretty shell-shocked.
Yeah.
It's been a few years. Oh God, no, let's not start on the Turtles thing again.
All that said, I'm sorry, Lindsay, the one quick thing before, I do think that, you know, Turtles and all that, they really do have like an essential place, just like all those early Star Trek things and all that. You could take the topics of the moment that you must not talk about and turn them into Turtles, and you're fine with it. Then you can talk about anything you want. It works.
It's fun. You can make like just about any message palatable if you wrap it up in a nice sort of pop cultural bow.
If you look at all those really early the really early TV shows and stuff on both sides, on any side of the fence, you can find storylines that, you know, people just were never allowed to talk about in actual words, but they were there. Based in Star Trek, you know, where you have the people that are black and white and white and black, and there you go. You know, you couldn't talk about that.
Completely, wholeheartedly agree with that. You know, comics are another example. There's this, that people are constantly saying they don't want their comics getting political these days. Comics have always been political.
Of course they are. Books, everything is political.
Superman was about an immigrant. But that's what it was about, written by two Jewish guys who led the Holocaust. You know, they've always had political messages. You
can't get away from it. It is dressed up because that's the only way to do it. Books that have had books that people are trying to burn, just the mother that you were talking about, Lindsay, and things like that. You know, that's the only way you can explore and visit these ideas safely. Some people who would never talk about it, well, they could read a book on their own time and explore it by themselves. You know, it's important, all of this. It's really all the stuff that we do with pop culture, storytelling, and all that. It is not a waste of time.
No, totally not. And I think that the thing with you know, discarding old work, burning old paintings, all that kind of thing, I think the mistake that people are making is that thinking that their existence is validating the views of the person behind it. The issue is if you look at that thing and you don't challenge it, like it shouldn't go unchallenged. Like if that work is there and it says a thing by a person who has beliefs that just aren't right, and quite frankly, some beliefs are right, some aren't. It's not that the work's existence validates them, it's whether it goes challenged or not. And I think sometimes that mistake is made because it's not there to just exist in isolation. You know, us as viewers kind of respond to that work. Now, if you just had, I don't know, let's say the Serpentine Gallery in Hyde Park decide to do an exhibition of Hitler's paintings, that might convey a very different message to those paintings just existing. You know, those paintings existing and being there as a historical reference for people to be able to learn from and understand the context of the era is very different to any kind of like glamorization of those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, the whole burning them, discarding them, trying to hide the past, it doesn't work because as you said, Ingrid, it just comes back around otherwise. If you try and just stick your fingers in your ears and pretend like it hasn't happened, or that we're better, inherently better, the same mistakes repeat themselves. You
got. I think we should and be showing, you know, kids of appropriate age, of course, but you know, okay, this is wrong, but why is it wrong? Instead of just saying, you know, don't look at it, don't look at it. This is wrong, and this is why it is wrong. Well, of course, you know, you have to decide, set your limits for why something's wrong, which is a whole other conversation. But but you know, you get the idea that that's a whole other podcast too. But you know, but yeah, no, I don't think we should be burning everything. But it's important to know why people want to burn it as well. Yeah, and I think that is the important part of it. Is that, you know, I think those people are trying to challenge it, but it's not necessarily challenging it in the healthiest way.
I will come and see you as soon as I'm done. We're nearly done.
Lego Batman.
Great invitation for Lego Batman. All right, you're very funny. Go on. Goodbye. Encourage him. Dear me.
Yep, there he goes.
Anyway.
Okay. So so we'll get right back on topic before we head on out and all of this, because obviously kids are super important now.
I think it's waiting for me now.
So before we let you go, let's just take a chat about the future. What do you think? I have asked you with this already, but do you really and truly think, even though you're not sure of where your direction is for the future, do you have an idea? Will sketch cards ever play a part in it again? Or do you think you want to get bigger, or like change mediums maybe? Or
yeah, it's an interesting question. All I know is that I don't want to kind of limit myself anymore. I went down a sketch card rabbit hole for a while, and I'm never going to. I like the format too much. You know, the size works for the style of drawing I do, but I've got a metric ton of comic blanks that need something on the covers. I've got a load of canvases ready to go. I haven't done oil painting in years, and I'd like to give that a punt again at a larger scale.
Wow.
I've got a lino cutting kit that's sitting around waiting to have some stuff chopped into it. So,
Rennie, I didn't mind you hovering around in the background, but if you're going to make noises, that's just rude. That's interesting. You're thinking about doing some printing with the lino?
Yeah. The last time I did that was sixth form, which is way too long ago. So that I've got a few little 3x3 squares of lino to work with.
Prints are so awesome. Lino prints are really awesome. There are not that many people who do that, I don't think, anymore, right?
They're so cool. I love the finished look of those, and you know, even the actual the lino itself, I feel you could stick in a frame, and like if you get that right, the cutting right, they look like pieces of work themselves.
And even though they're prints, each print is an original because no two prints are really truly exactly the same.
Yeah, that's something I really like from it, because when I've been doing the Comic Con tables, I've got a selection of prints. I've always limited myself to numbered runs rather than an unlimited set of prints. But with the lino printing thing, like I say, every one is a unique one-off piece of work. So that's really appealing to me. And also, if I do limited runs of prints, it forces me to keep making new stuff. Because when I get back to having tables, if I have unlimited prints, I will just rest on that and let those sell. I do like to procrastinate from time to time. So printing is definitely on the cards. And other than that, I haven't done anything with spray paint for quite a long time. So I'd like to do some humongous canvases with.
You mean airbrush or actual spray paint?
Spray paint, spray cans. So I've dabbled with it in the past, and I'd like to put some stencils together and see what I can come up with that. So, or use it as a basis for some mixed media work, maybe.
Yeah. I was just gonna say you could do your printing and then
use and just spray to kind of give textures and that kind of thing on it. So
this all sounds like an awesome exhibition.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. A good friend of mine runs a local studio that puts out exhibitions. He's hosted me for some exhibitions in the past in previous space. When I started to get out into the world a little bit in my post first year of baby phase, we'll see where I can. But it'd be nice to. I want to put some work. I love my pop culture stuff, but I want to put some work out that's just entirely me. I'm not worried about a license.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The person commissioning me is happy with the finished work. It's just what I want to do for a bit. All experimentation.
I'd say that's one of the worst things about doing sketch cards is that, if it's licensed work or even not licensed work, once you've done it, that's it. You can't monetize on it. You can't sell prints. That belongs to that company then. And, it's only a certain amount you can make off it.
Yeah. And if you want to start to look at the business side of what we do, it's not the most efficient.
Is there a business side to what we do?
I'm still looking.
I really love how Jim Davis did it. The dude who created Garfield. He actually graduated with business qualifications, and he set up his business at the same time as doing Garfield, and just ran all that himself. Just made it into like a massive.
Honestly, Sean Murphy.
Garfield's not really around nowadays. They haven't really kept up with the current kids, have they? Bless them.
Yeah.
But for a long time, he was everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
That's my turtle.
Yeah. Nice. Sean Murphy, a comic artist that I'm a massive fan of. He when he used to post on DeviantArt, he did some journals a long time ago talking about how it's all well and good practicing your craft and being super insular with focusing on your artwork. But if you want to make a living of it, you also need to acknowledge that you're a business person, and that it would do a lot of artists well to treat it as a profession. And that might ruffle some feathers because there are plenty of professional artists who make a living from it and they're an artist through and through. But I think there's a lot of us that it would help to approach it like in a businessman-like kind of way, in terms of maintaining your taxes and,
I think if you haven't got an agent, you do need to take that on board yourself, because, if an agency is not taking you on, then it's all you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And, social media is a part of that business as well. And that's something I really struggle with. I've had quite a big hiatus from posting online. In all honesty, this podcast is probably going to be the first thing I will have shared in the better part of a year. But I'm at a point where I've got a bit of backlog of work to start posting. I'll get that back up and running. I want to kind of freshen everything up, new cover pictures and profile pictures.
Don't get too particular about it. We've spoken about this.
Yep.
So, no, exactly, because it'll be 6 years otherwise, and I'll have a holding page.
I mean, I've been a little bit worried about social media recently, because social media platforms, they only last for so long.
Yeah.
And I get most of my work off Facebook. I'm only just getting the website up and running. So it's like, if Facebook goes down, I go down,
That's absolutely right. The thing is, of course, is that we have absolutely no idea what of all of these platforms are actually going to stay, going to go, and all this. Whereas at least we know our website should still be available. So at least if there are links to everything in one place online, at the very least.
That was a piece of advice I'd read about that, actually, was a website, even if it's just a bare bones portfolio, is absolutely invaluable, because that's a constant. We all thought that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram would basically be forever, I think.
Of course.
And all three of them look like they're in the kind of flux that could see them on their way out. They
are going into those weird stages.
Facebook's losing money for the first time ever at the moment. The kids aren't down with the Facebook. They're not into it, so
they've done weird stuff so that when you post, sometimes people see it, sometimes people don't.
Everything changing the algorithms, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, chasing those moving goalposts,
everything
that can become really soul destroying sometimes, because it has taken me a long time to get my head around it and treat it in a healthy way, where I post the thing and it's its own thing. Then I can't keep chasing to try and boost engagement and that sort of thing. Some people do that really well, but I think for me it would be a full-time job. It just sucks the life out of being an artist for me.
It's incredible how much time it eats up to actually post on all of these things. And yet, as you said, it is a part of the business side of it, whether we like it or not. We do have to invest time, but it's a skill, I think, to be able to say, okay, that's it, time to get back to work, to my other work, and stop.
I
mean, I'd love to give people like an in-depth explanation of what I think about what they've created, but you just haven't got time. And because you want to support people, you just tend to put a couple of words on. That's awesome. That's mate,
so good, thumbs up. And
there is more you want to say, but you just don't have the time. So for anyone watching, I hope none of us come across as insincere. It's like,
really, truly
spread your posts. And we love what you do. It's just we're limited with the time,
I mean, there's so many artists out of our group that I admire the hell out of. But if I was to put the time into telling them that on their work, that I would need to for every artist I admire the hell out of, I wouldn't be seeing my daughter.
No, absolutely.
So, speaking about that, where can people find you currently online?
So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even though I basically never use it, TikTok, for those good old fashioned time lapses, like the 3 that I've done, at Craig Hallums Art. That I think is it for now. I'm in the process of setting up a YouTube channel to put up some sort of longer form drawing videos. Probably not going to be me talking about work or anything like that, but if people find sketching interesting in real time, then we'll get some of those up on there. And I'm also working on getting started on Twitch, because I've live streamed the odd bit of sketching, and I always found that a really chilled out experience. Grab a beer.
Do you like Twitch? What do you do?
I haven't used it myself yet. My brother is a Twitch streamer to play his video games. He's had a good experience with it. So maybe 1 or 2 people will drop in. I'll have a drink and draw anyway. So
that's something that I've been wanting to do also on Twitch. But the problem is, like, when you're doing work that you're not allowed to show yet.
Exactly.
I'm just stuck. I can't live stream,
Yeah. And that's been part of the hold up for a lot of these plans for me. So that would be one of the big kicks up the backside for me to get back into the social media world would be, a night a week where I'm like, okay, I'm going to draw for an hour or two. Let's grab a drink. Let's have a chat with whoever's on. I enjoy doing that, and it's one of the reasons, biggest reasons I like doing Comic Cons. When you get people come up and just have a chat at the table. Some people, if you even glance up at them, are terrified because they think you're trying to sell them something straight away.
That's true.
And even saying hi can make them go and run away. But you'll get those guys come up that really want to kind of talk about the work or what it is you're doing, how you do it. I love all that stuff.
How have you done a lot of Comic Cons?
I've done a few now, mostly the Showmasters ones, so London Film and Comic Con, summer and winter. I've done 4, some more local events and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, COVID got in the way of all that, and I'm getting to a stage now where I feel like I could be comfortable getting back to it. There was a period of time where I was very sort of like, I do not want to bring that in the household, so let's stay away for a bit.
Are there any Comic Cons in London?
Loads. I think, to be honest, if you look from the smallest ones up to the biggest ones, there's probably not a month in the year that they don't have something going on in London.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
I've just been doing them up north. I'm not a big fan of traveling.
I don't blame you on that one. I hadn't passed my driving test when I started doing cons, so I was carting all my stuff in travel bags on the train from Southend. So yeah, I mean, it's painful, right? Like,
it's hard.
You can't cram it all into your hold all. And
have you got one? I've got a granny trolley. Have you got a granny wheelie trolley thing?
No, maybe I should. To be fair, I was taking 2 like aeroplane cases, dragging my brother with me to man the table, having poster tubes and print racks over our backs, and my backpack absolutely jammed full of stuff. So
cool.
It is hard work when you don't drive. I envy people who just drive around to the con with all the stuff in the boot.
Yeah. So that's
if you don't have a driver's license, you're sunk. I mean, well, unless you live in the city, but
Yeah,
we are lucky being all so close together, aren't we?
Yeah. In the scheme of things, everything's 5 minutes away in the UK. So
I'm whinging about travelling, but it's 2 hours to London for me on train.
Yeah, and you're never going to be looking at above head height snow. So
see, I put off even if I've got to change trains. I'm like, oh no, it's got to change. I'm not going there.
Yeah. So
you're serious?
Journey's too difficult tomorrow. So.
Oh dear.
God, just wait till you come visit Canada, Lindsey. Just wait.
I have been. I've been to South Africa. That takes a long time to get anywhere. You can be a day travelling there.
Okay.
All right.
One place to another.
I'm saying about travelling. It's on the list to for me, fiance and baby when she's a little bit older to go over to New Zealand. My other half's got family out in New Zealand, and I'm an enormous Lord of the Rings nerd. So Tolkien is like my absolute thing.
Flight of the Conchords. Just slip that in.
Yeah, I mean that's always a good perk to going out to New Zealand as well. And yeah, the original What We Do in the Shadows as well. Pretty bloody amazing. But yeah, we want to go out to New Zealand and rent probably a camper van or rent a.
Are you going to do a tour of all the places they filmed while you're there? Are you going to try it?
You know the answer to that one already.
You got to do it in costume if you do and take photos.
All right, noted. I'll get working on the Hobbit costume now. I'm not capable of growing the beard for that. This is as much as I can muster. So.
Oh dear.
Okay, well we'll have to roll this out. You can all get back to your kids.
So easy chatting. I don't know if it's because you're from the UK as well. And are you a similar age to me? I'm 41.
34.
34?
He's a kid.
Yeah. He is. I'm thinking he's coming out with Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles. I'm thinking he watched all the same stuff as me as a kid.
My two people, 2 guys I grew up with that were a bit older than me and my brothers. They basically brought us up on this stuff.
Good lads.
So, born in the late 80s, but the 80s is probably my decade for pop culture. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Actually, it was a good decade for
It's an awesome decade.
that, but also the late 90s. I watched a lot of cartoons with my kids when they were very small, and there were a lot of really cool, funny, and smart cartoons.
What came out of the 90s? Yeah, absolutely.
There was a lot of really cool stuff. I was completely shocked.
Oh, 90s, all your Nickelodeon and your Cartoon Network and Johnny Bravo and all that. And
yeah, they were all wicked.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for having come on with us. It was really great meeting you because I really didn't know anything about you before. So
awesome to talk to you guys.
It was really cool. Please drop me the links to everywhere that people can find you, and I'll share them in the show notes for the podcast.
And start seeing your work popping up on Facebook again.
Yeah. Next couple of weeks, I'll be getting the ball rolling on all of that.
Cool. That's awesome.
Nice one.
Thank you so much, Craig. It has been a pleasure.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, Craig.